person, guest speaker, respected Dean Sir, all teaching faculty, practitioners, PG and PhD scholars, and dear students. On the behalf of Department of Rog Nidan and Vikruti Vignan, D.Y. Patil School of Ayurveda, Nehru, Navi Mumbai, I, Dr. Rajeshri Ware, Associate Professor in the Department of Rog Nidan and Vikruti Vignan, welcome you all for this national webinar, Rog Nidan 2021. Today's topic of webinar is Ayurvedic perspective of portal hypertension with special reference to Yakrut Dalyodhar. To enlighten us on this topic, we have with us respected Dr. Rishita Sandeep Dahilekar Madam, HOD and Professor, Department of Rog Nidan and Vikruti Vignan, Parul University, Vadodara, Gujarat, as a guest speaker. We are fortunate to have Dr. Hemant Kalita Sir, Assistant Professor, Department of Rog Nidan and Vikruti Vignan, Government Ayurvedic College, Guwahati, Assam, to chair this session. We seek for blessings of Lord Dhanvantari at the beginning of the event. Okay.
नमामि धन्वन्तरीरादिदेवं सुरासुरवन्दितपादपद्मं लोके जरारुक् भयमृत्युनाशं दातारमीशं विविधौषधीनां शङ्खं चक्रं जलौकां दधतमृतघटं चारुदोर्भिश्चतुर्भिः सूक्ष्मस्वच्छातिरुद्धं शुकपरिविलसन् मौलिमं भोजनेत्रं कालाम्भोजोज्ज्वलाङ्गं कटितटविलसच्चारु पीताम्बराढ्यं वन्दे धन्वन्तरिं तं निखिलगदवन् प्रौढदावाग्निलीलं प्रौढदावाग्निलीलं प्रौढदावाग्निलीलम्.
Now, I would request our respected Dean Sir, Dr. Mahesh Kumar Hare Sir, to say few words on this occasion. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, madam. Good morning to all. Today, Department of Rog Nidan and Vikruti Vigyan organizing national webinar on Ayurvedic perspective of portal hypertension. This webinar's chairperson, Dr. Hemant Kalita sir from the Guwahati. Guest speaker, Dr. Rishita Dahilekar madam from Parul University, Gujarat. Dr. Santosh Chauhan sir, the HOD of the Department of Rog Nidan, and other colleagues from this department, all faculties and dear students. I welcome all of you on behalf of entire organizations. As I have received feedback, today's chairperson and guest speakers are experienced and master of Rog Nidan subjects. I have no doubt it will be a treat to all participations to listen them. They will enlighten today's topic, which is a burning issue of today's society due to mostly the lifestyle. I convey my sincere thanks to Chairperson Dr. Hemantji, the guest speaker Dr. Rishita Madam, for accepting our invitations I request Dr. Ware Madam to continue with today's schedules. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Rognidhan Vikruti Vignan subject is a tool to explore the pathophysiology of various diseases. As Charkacharya says, Rogamado Parikshet, Totontaram Aushadam. So, the study of Rognidhan is inevitable for the management of any ailment. It's our
Please mute all participants.
participant, please mute your audio. It's our pleasure to listen to Dr. Rishita Madam on the topic Ayurvedic perspective of portal hypertension with special reference to Yakrut Dalyodhar. I would request to all participants to post their queries or questions in the chat box. Now, I would request Dr. Savita Balkar Madam, Associate Professor, Department of Rognidhan and Vikruti Vignan, to give brief introduction of Madam. Over to you, Madam.
Thank you, Dr. Ware ma'am, for the privilege. Good morning, all of you. Today, we are fortunate to have Dr. Rishita Dahilekar ma'am, an eminent speaker currently designated as HOD and Professor, Department of Rognidhan and Vikruti Vignan, Parul Institute of Ayurveda and Research, Parul University, Vadodara, to deliver a lecture on Ayurvedic perspective of portal hypertension with special reference to Yakrut Dalyodhar. To maintain a brief on ma'am's academic background, ma'am has completed graduation and post-graduation in Rognidhan and Vikruti Vignan from Tilak Ayurved Mahavidyalaya, Pune from Pune University. Currently, ma'am is pursuing her PhD from Parul University, Vadodara, and her important and influential topic, that is utility of modern investigation in Ayurveda parameter regarding inflammatory marker diseases. He is also working as HOD laboratory in charge at Khemdas Ayurveda Hospital, Ishwarpura, Parul University, Vadodara. Ma'am has 16 years of experience in consultancy in Ayurveda and modern, 14 years of pathology consultancy to commercial laboratories, and 14 years of teaching experience. She is now working as Secretary of Hospital Infection Committee for NABH since 1.5 years. She also has 2 years of experience as Joint Superintendent at Chaitanya Ayurveda Hospital, Bhusawal. Ma'am has extensive list of publications and UGC and international journals. An article named A Review of Visham Juar in Bhel Samhita with special reference to cytokine release syndrome is published in Web of Sciences as international journal. Ma'am has been a resource person and conducted workshops for applicability of Pap smear for prevention of cervical cancer, and also as a guest speaker for creating awareness regarding Pap smear and overall women's health. Ma'am has developed e-content and practical videos for Rognidhan laboratory and content for ECG reading and commercial course design. Thank you, ma'am, for accepting our invitation as a guest speaker. May I now request you, ma'am, to begin your lecture. Over to you, ma'am. Dr. Rishita, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am, for your warm welcome. And I also thankful to Dr. Santosh Sawan sir and Principal sir of D.Y. Patil College and for inviting me for this topic. Now I will share my screen first. Can you get the slides? So I think it's time to start today's lecture. And before that, all of you know that today's era is basically related to the lifestyle induced diseases. And these lifestyle induced diseases are basically due to the drastic change in our lifestyle pattern as well as in our diet and in our sleep patterns. So these diseases, basically, first they disturb our GI tract, and then the disease happens, and whatever is told in our Ayurveda, that is a Roga Sarvepi Mandagna. It is the basic theme of, or it is the basic theme of genesis of the disease, which are explained in our Ayurveda. So, as per the digestive system, when we consider that the liver, it is the basic largest endocrine gland, and this largest endocrine gland, it plays most important role in the digestion. And whenever there is an impairment in the liver or any hampered function, the liver diseases, that it shows a very large canvas, means there ranges in very n number of amounts. And one of the most important disease, that is the portal hypertension. This portal hypertension, it is a chronic disease, and this chronic disease is manifested at a late stage, and when the symptoms are mainly worsened. So here in this topic, I want to elaborate the Ayurvedic perspective of the portal hypertension, and with some reference to the Yakrut, which are explained in our Ayurvedic granthas. So before going to the portal hypertension, that the students who are in second year, they should know basically what is the venous system of the GI tract. And this venous system, that they know that there are the two venous system that they drain the GI tract, basically the systemic venous system and the portal venous system. As all of you know that the systemic venous system basically drains the way blood supply from the blood supply from the organs to the basically to the atrium of the heart, that is right atrium of the heart. And the major components of these are basically the common iliac veins, lumbar veins, renal veins, and inferior phrenic veins. But at the same time, there are no tributaries or no any branches, basically from the spleen, pancreas, gallbladder, and in the some parts of the intestines. So here the portal venous system is activated. And in this, you can see that the portal venous system, it is a system of or a series of veins that carries the blood from the capillaries bed from the stomach, pancreas, intestines, and then first it drains the blood to the liver. Here in the liver detoxifies that blood, and then it convey to the heart. So detoxification to the in the liver, it is the basic thing, and it happened to the portal vein that it comes to the liver. So here we have to consider the portal venous system and its branches. So when we consider portal venous system, it has a hepatic portal vein, inferior mesenteric vein, superior mesenteric vein, and splenic vein. So when we see the portal vein, here you can see the diagram that the portal vein, it is composed of the splenic vein and the superior mesenteric vein. The location of this basically portal vein, it is posterior to the neck of the pancreas at the level of L2 number 2 vertebra. And when it reaches the liver, before entering the liver, it first divides into two parts, that is the right and left portal branch, and then they enter into the liver. This is the thing that, and one should note that the dimensions are 6 to 8 centimeter long and 12 millimeter in diameters. Other branches that of the portal venous and other right and left gastric veins, cystic veins that drains from the gallbladder, and paraumbilical veins that drain the skin of the umbilical regions. So before going to know any pathophysiology of any disease, one should know the basic anatomy and the physiology of that organ, that it will be easy to understand the disease. So this in that respect, that is we should know the histology of the liver also, that you have already learned in first year, that basically the hepatocytes, liver globules, it is a functional unit, and macroscopically there you can see that there is a portal triad and this portal triad then it communicates with the central vein through the sinusoids. So the portal triad it enters here. There is a portal transmiss. There are basically hepatic artery, portal vein, and bile duct. Here they enter into the central canal system and the central vein, and then it then into the hepatic vein and into the inferior vena cava. So this is the process actually. The hepatocytes functions of the liver is basically to secrete the bile. All these functions are very important that you should know. That is when the liver get damaged. Then there are the Cooper cells. Where are the Cooper cells? So Cooper cells are basically the sinusoidal endothelial cells. So when we see the histology of liver, then there is basically the species of disease, hepatocytes, and sinusoidal cells are there. And in that sinusoidal cells, basically there the function of the sinusoidal cell, that is Cooper cell, is a phagocytic in nature. So portal circulation excuse me, the portal circulation that one should know that the blood passes from the portal vein, then enter into the hepatocellular sinusoid. Here it enter or it mixes with the hepatic artery blood, and then it drain into the hepatic vein. What I told you. And then finally it drain into the inferior vena cava. This basic anatomy that everyone should know. And then this portal vein also we are seeing then so the function of portal vein we see that it mainly it delivers a deoxygenated nutrient rich blood to the liver. It is basically deoxygenated and when it is and it should be detoxified further by the liver. It is the main thing. The portal vein contributes 2/3 of the total hepatic blood flow. And this portal vein is a pressure or portal vein flow is regulated by the vasoconstriction and vasodilator activity of the splenic arterial blood. It does not contain any wall as it is a vein and hence the pressure is same in all the part of the portal venous system. It supplies the liver the 80% and 20% of the oxygen. The one more thing and that is interesting that this two system, basically the portal venous system and systemic venous system, there is a connection and this connection is known as the anatomical anastomosis. And this anastomosis have a major part in the manifestations of the portal hypertension. And there are the sites of the portacaval anastomosis, it is also called. At the lower end of esophagus, here you can see in the figure that the portal vein of the left gastric vein it anastomosis with the oesophagus vein. At the lower part of the rectum, the superior rectal vein of the portal vein it anastomosis with medial, and inferior rectal vein, the umbilical at the umbilical region, the paraumbilical veins that anastomosis with superficial epigastric vein. Retroperitoneal region, the tributaries of the mesenteric veins that anastomosis with the retroperitoneal area that is from here, that is the Bayer area. So what is meant by Bayer area? Bayer area, it is the area that it is directly attached to the diaphragmatic surface because there is no any peritoneal fold. So in that hepatic portal vein directly communicate or they can anastomosis easily with the inferior phrenic vein. And another side that is the patent ductus venosus, that here the portal vein of the left branch of the portal vein it anastomosis with inferior vena cava. It is a congenital deformity and it is very rare. But as per our disease side, as per our portal hypertension, we see that the lower end of esophagus, lower part of the rectum, umbilical, Bayer area, and retroperitoneal area have a great importance. Then the portal venous pressure. So portal venous pressure means in simple language, it is a blood pressure that is blood pressure in the portal vein. So what is in the blood pressure? Blood pressure, it is basically, it is the flow of any volume of the blood in the particular vein or artery, and it is multiplied by that the resistance offered by the vein. That is the Ohm's law. So normal blood flow through the portal vein is up to the 1 to 1.5 liter per minute. The normal pressure, the normal portal pressure, see that is, it is expressed in the terms of hepatic venous pressure gradient, and it is about just near to the 5 mm of Hg. This hepatic venous pressure gradient, that is, it is a method to estimate the portal pressure, and it is the indirect method, because directly we cannot measure the portal venous pressure, and it is a very complicated, or maybe laparoscopy may be needed. So indirect estimation, that is balloon therapy, and with through the cannulation we can estimate. So here in that indirect estimation, it is the measurement to the hepatic vein through cannulation, and this HPV is represent basically the portal pressure, the difference between the portal pressure and that in the inferior vena cava. Means portal sinusoidal pressure difference and in the between the inferior vena cava. So HPVG is equal to WHVP minus FHVP. So what is meant by WHVP? So it is the wave hepatic venous pressure. It is a measure of sinusoidal pressure. See here, it is a sinusoidal pressure, not it is a direct portal pressure. So this method is called the indirect estimation. And the free hepatic venous pressure means it is the venous pressure in the inferior vena cava. So that the subtraction gives you the HPVG. So when we consider or talk about the portal hypertension, this portal hypertension term is introduced, or this disease was recognized by the Augustine Nicholas Guilford in 902. See, it is in 902 in the century, that 19th century, that they labeled the portal hypertension. But when we see the our Ayurvedic test, in long back ago, they are explained it. This elevation of portal pressure is called portal hypertension. Obviously, this is the definition. But subclinical portal hypertension means it is a range between the 6 to 10 mm of Hg. Then portal hypertension, acid disease, it is diagnosed when the portal venous pressure or HPVG gradient is more than 10 mm of Hg. And then depending upon the portal venous pressure, there are some symptoms. So there are some formation of varices. So they may be seen at the level greater than 10 mm of Hg, and varicose bleeding may be seen at the level greater than 15 mm of Hg. So when we consider, I said, portal hypertension, it is a group of syndrome, what we call it as, and anatomically there are the 3 types actually. Anatomical position of the portal vein, the portal hypertension is divided into the 3 types basically. The first we see here, you can see in a diagram, that is a prehepatic portal hypertension. So prehepatic means, and here the where the portal vein starts. So it is a prehepatic portal vein hypertension. This anatomical classification of the post-hepatic, intrahepatic, and prehepatic is totally against or totally contrast when we are consider any jaundice classification, because it is according to the CBD, common by the के अनुसार वो होता है. So basically here the portal vein start from the intestine and it flows to the towards the liver. So the prehepatic portal hypertension, here the causes are basically the portal vein thrombosis, splenic vein thrombosis, maybe splenomegaly or mesenteric arteriovenous fistula. Then intrahepatic portal hypertension. This intrahepatic portal hypertension, it is basically related to the hepatic. So here again, according to the histology, they are divided into the sinusoidal or perisinusoidal types. So the most common cause of the intrahepatic portal hypertension is the cirrhosis. The again, that is cystomiasis. So what is more mean by cystomiasis? Somiasis, it is basically a parasitic infection, and now it is very rare, and this parasitic infection that affects the liver, and it is originated in a fresh water. Then Again, here we can see the hemochromatosis. So here the iron overload is there, and this is again a genetic diseases. And even if in another diseases, where is liver function is totally hampered, or liver failure cases, that we can see the condition hemochromatosis. So in intrahepatic portal hypertension, the pathophysiology of that happens in basically in the liver. And in post-hepatic portal tension, here that it is due to the right heart failure, then tricuspid regurgitation, constructive pericarditis, any intravena obstructions, or Budd-Chiari syndrome. Budd-Chiari syndrome is hepatic venous obstructions. So these are the due to the different sites where in inferior vena cava, in lymphatic vein, or due to the any myopathy. So there is a due to right heart failure, the heart muscles are not working properly. They are not their cardiac output may be low, or they are not pumping properly. So that the blood may remain stagnant or congested in the below organs, basically here in the liver. So these are the post-hepatic portal hypertension causes. See, this is the another diagram where it also explains the portal hypertension types, but the words are different. Means here they give the extrahepatic word to the this prehepatic, means extrahepatic in the outside the liver. So again, the causes are the same: the portal vein thrombosis, marginated occlusions, and these may be due to the congenital, due to sepsis, any trauma, or any splenic vein thrombosis. Then whatever I told earlier, that in that way that hepatic are mainly divided into perisinusoidal, and the second thing is sinusoidal, and then hepatic veins. So according to the flow of the portal vein, this classification is made. Then coming to the pathophysiology of the portal hypertension, then you have to consider, or there are the basic theories which are told, or there are the hypothesis that there is an increased resistance, and this increased resistance to the portal blood flow, and this increased resistance basically to the liver in liver sites, and that liver sites then again is due to that the portal blood flow to the liver is hampered. Then second thing is the collateral develops, and this collaterals again develops, and again third is that is the increased blood flow, means the portal blood volume is increased. So these three theories are responsible for the portal hypertension. We will see one by one. The first, we will see the increased resistance to the portal blood flow. So this theory is according to that there is a basically liver, means there is in liver there is a structural damage, and this structural damage may be due to any acute infection, or any thrombosis, or then again it causes a fibrosis or any regeneration. So any hepatic cause, basically it causes the structural damage to that hepatocytes, and due to that functional damage or the structural damage, there is a functional damage of SES, means again sinusoidal endothelium cells get damaged, their functions get basically changed. These sinusoidal epithelial cells basically they help to maintain vasoactive substance in a proper manner, so the sinusoidal pressure or portal pressure remains constant or normal. But when this get altered, when this disturbed, then the portal resistance is increased. But why? Because due to the functional damage here it is an overproduction of vasoconstrictors. So vasoconstrictors, and the overproduction due to any inflammatory changes basically. And at the same time, there is a decrease in quantity of the vasodilators. So the vasodilators like nitric oxides. So there is an imbalance between vasoconstrictors and vasodilators, and this results in basically the altered tone of that particular vein, that particular flow flowing to that, and so that it reflects as resistance to the portal blood flow and manifested as a portal hypertension. So here the constriction is basically mean, and due to the constriction, it gradually increase resistance, and that resistance then gradually manifested as the portal hypertension. This is the theme here, a theoretical layer, and all these theories are now it is there is a nitric oxide that is a vasodilator. It again one theory is that this nitric oxide is also responsible for the bacterial translocation. So this bacterial translocation is get increased, and so again this worsen the conditions. Then second thing is that the development of the collaterals. So increased portal vascular resistance as it leads to the gradual reduction in the flow of portal blood and simultaneously the development of the collateral vessels. So this development of collateral vessels at basically at the porta caval and anastomosis sites, which are we are seen in above slides. So these collaterals are developed here, and these collaterals when developed, they allow the portal blood to bypass the liver and enter the systemic circulation directly. So here, the basic function of the Cooper cell, that is the macrophage activity detoxification, it totally it get reduced. So detoxification it reduce, and this toxified or deoxygenated blood mixed with the systemic venous system. So it again worsens the things. Then collateral develops. One basic thing that you should know that collaterals develop when the pressure gradient between the portal and hepatic vein rises above a certain threshold. And for that also angiogenetic factors is also responsible. So development of collaterals, it is the second thing. Then when we see that that is the increased portal blood flow. So how this possible? The portal hypertension causes whenever there is any thrombosis, any occlusion, or it is resistance, then there is a backflow. Backflow is increase, means the organs that are not draining properly, so the blood get congested or they get stagnant to the previous organs, previous sites. So the systemic compensation of the splenic arterial vasodilation here it occurs, and here is splenic arterial vasodilation. It causes again here this vasodilator activities increase, and these vasodilator activities it is due to nitric oxide, and this nitric oxide again it increases the bacterial translocation, means that the bacterial translocation to the blood phase increase, means it get any pathogen entry. Then increase in the activation of vasodilators ultimately alters the hepatic vascular tone, because vascular dilatations when increase, obviously there is a vascular constriction factors that are they are reduced. So there is imbalance again, and again it alters the hepatic vascular tone as we see earlier. Then another thing that also progressive splenic dilation, means our splenic dilation is progressive, then it eventually development the systemic vasodilation. So because these are due to the collateral vessels, so it again happens systemic vasodilations or backward deformity, systemic vasodilation occur, and it marked by increased cardiac output. When cardiac output is increased, there is to cope up that cardiac output, there is a decreased peripheral vascular resistance, PVR. So finally, it causes increase in the portal blood flow, because through portal blood flow, then there is an entry to the heart, and we can get increased cardiac output. So this is a vicious cycle actually. And so through this vicious cycle, that this portal blood flow is increased, and it increases whenever blood flow is increased. With the same time, there is a resistance, and we can get the portal hypertension as a disease. So when considering all this pathophysiology, when coming to the sign and symptoms or any manifestations, this portal hypertension on the clinically depending on the portal pressure, it is divided in mild portal hypertension, and this mild portal hypertension you can get splenomegaly, basically congestion in the guts, because in due to the backward deformity, there is a congestion in the guts and it causes the malabsorptions. Then moderate, that is, it formation of varices due to development of the collaterals at the portal anastomosis, and in severe when it is portal hypertension is more, then you can get variceal bleeding, ascites, and its complications. So common manifestations, as I told, is splenomegaly. This splenomegaly, that is the blood backup due to the splenic vasodilation, and it traps the components of the blood cells, white blood cells, so all these cells within the skin. So here you can get splenomegaly with hypersplenism, and it causing anemia, thrombocytopenia in the bloodstream. Second thing, there is a congestion in the gut, and blood congestion portal vein expands to the this mesenteric vein, and due to the hyperemia, basically there is a malabsorption syndrome. Then these are the varices formations, and here that already you can see that there are basically the esophageal varices. It is a common manifestations, and then second thing is caput medusae. Caput medusae means distended engulfed superficial gastric veins, and this is the figure you can see that. Then third thing, that rectal varices. Rectal varices can manifest as hemorrhoids and bleeding piles. So these are the manifestation. Even then, these varices first form, and when there is a increase of hypertension, these varices basically, there is a varices means there is a distension or engorged veins, and at the same time there is a thinning of the veins, and at the sudden threshold the veins get ruptured and bleeding start. So when you see the esophageal varices, you can find that the hematemesis, melena, these are the symptoms, and hemorrhoids, you are find the rectal bleeding, and due to all these things there is an anemia and its complications are seen. Then after that, according to the anatomical position, also you can anatomical position of the portal vein, you can divide as portal hypertension, and here these are the manifestations that whenever there is a prehepatic cause. So prehepatic cause is due to the mainly the splenic vein thrombosis, and maybe it occur in the extrahepatic or pericenteral. In that cases, you can get splenomegaly, and this splenomegaly is early sizes 6 to 10 centimeters, and the symptoms related to splenomegaly, because in splenomegaly there is gastric veins also, upper gastric veins also, there is anastomosis is there, so you can guess the esophageal varices and their symptoms. Then in intrahepatic portal hypertension, here this is a figure that you can see, that is basically any esophageal varices, splenomegaly, at the same time caput medusae. So these are the picture, that is a collaterals are developed hemorrhoids. At the same time, the hepates of the liver cell failure, because it is intrahepatic. So liver cells are getting damaged, and due to that, basically first thing that happens is related to jaundice. So jaundice related symptoms here you can find easily, that is a liver flap, aesthetics. Then it related to the after its complications, it may show the fetal hepatitis, then gynecomastia, then testicular atrophy, and after that, that is it manifested as the ankle edema, and it goes worsen when it shows the ascites. So these are the effects of liver cell failure. Then in post-hepatic portal hypertension, because this post-hepatic hypertension, most common cause is due to the thrombosis of the hepatic vein. And this thrombosis of hepatic vein is also called as the Budd-Chiari syndrome. And this it's divided into two parts. That is the acute clinical manifestation. Here it is acute clinical manifestation shows the severe abdominal pain, vomiting, and mild jaundice and ascites. But when there is a chronic Budd-Chiari syndrome, then you can find massive ascites. Here you can find hepatomegaly, then upper GI bleeding, hypertrophy of the caudate lobe. See here there are two lobes of the liver, that is here the hypertrophy of the caudate lobe. Then compression of the intrahepatic portion of the IVC leading to lower extremity edema. So these are the clinical manifestation according to the anatomical position. Now these portal hypertension, its main cause is the cirrhosis. Here we consider here because this is the mostly found, or in most cases we find that is cirrhosis. It is the basic cause of the portal hypertension, maybe due to the what we can say in Ayurveda, Ati Madhyapan Sevan, or all these things, because cirrhosis is also of two types, that is the fatty liver condition and non-hepatic, non-fatty liver cirrhosis is also there. So, but one thing that you should know, that cirrhosis, it is the basic cause, and then it causes portal hypertension, and this portal hypertension then get manifested worsen into the ascites. So how the ascites is formed is there are another theory, and there are the two theories basically, because this splenic vasodilation is mainly causes the overflow of fluid. So overflow of fluid means splenic vasodilation causes there is a imbalance between the sinusoidal pressure, because and due to this imbalance in the sinusoidal pressure, there is a excessive lymph formation. So excessive lymph formation from the disease space of the disease, and this leakage of the lymph in the peritoneum, and you can get the ascites. So this is the theory. So overproduction of fluid, basically overproduction of the lymph and its leakage, and it goes to the ascites. This is the one theory. Another theory is that same we have seen already, but the name is given the arterial underfilling, because splenic vasodilation causes systemic vasodilation. At the same time, it causes, due to the, to maintain that systemic vasodilation, there is a hypovolemia. And when hypovolemia means peripheral vascular resistance is low, it activates the Renin-angiotensin-aldosterone system. And this Renin-angiotensin-aldosterone system, mainly it causes a retention of water, retention of sodium. So whenever there is a retention of sodium, it causes refractory ascites, water, we call it as a hyponatremia. And if it causes renal constriction, then we can find a decreased glomerular filtration rate, and then it manifested as complication that is hepatorenal hepatorenal syndrome. So these are the basic pathophysiology, that how the ascites and its complications happens in the portal hypertension. So again, some complications due to the ascites, or there are mainly that are the thrombocytopenia, then varicose bleeding, acute bleeding, then spontaneous bacterial peritonitis. This is due to the translocation of the bacteria due to the ascites. Then these ascites may lead to the hepatic hydrothorax, hepatorenal syndrome, hepatic encephalopathy due to the liver damage, end-stage liver diseases. So here you can get a bilirubin level more than 15 mg, so that it causes encephalopathy, all these symptoms. And here the two words are there, that is again the hepatopulmonary syndrome and portopulmonary hypertension. So what is the difference between hepatopulmonary syndrome? The hepatopulmonary syndrome is again, it is due to the dilatation in the pulmonary regions, and this dilatation due to the hepatic cause. So the symptoms are produced to the dilatation of the capillary system of the pulmonary bed. And in portopulmonary hypertension, there is basically a constriction of the capillary system of the lungs. So these are the different mechanisms. So the names are also given, that is the portopulmonary and hepatopulmonary, but their cause is due to the hepatic, means hepatic, if it causes constriction or if it causes dilatation. Depending on these two conditions, this hepatopulmonary syndrome and portopulmonary hypertension is there. And the most important, cirrhotic cardiomyopathy. So after all this, seeing all this portal hypertension, then when you are diagnosed, there are some investigations that you have to do in this particular disease. That is basically the CBC that reflect the anemia, thrombocytopenia. So it is very important. Liver function test, as you know that liver function is basically, it reflects the jaundice. Again, basically it not only jaundice but liver enzyme, that AST and ALT. And AST and ALT ratio is very important to know the hepatic cause. Basically, it is the liver cirrhosis due to the liver cirrhosis due to the any fatty liver or liver cirrhosis due to the any Madhyapan seven. So basically the alcoholic liver cirrhosis. So here AST-ALT ratio is very important. If AST-ALT ratio is greater than it is a 2:1, then it is definitely the alcoholic liver cirrhosis. And but when it is the AST-ALT ratio is less than 1, then it indicate the fatty liver cirrhosis. And this fatty liver cirrhosis is common in Indian women basically. And alcoholic liver cirrhosis is common in Indian men. So then again lipid profile to know the functions, that is the cholestasis वगैरह. Then after that UHG abdomen is also important, and it is a particular guideline to diagnose the portal hypertension. Generally splenic vein diameter greater than 15 millimeter, it indicates of the portal hypertension. Then another things are there, that is the SAG, that serum albumin ascitic gradient. Then for the transited or exited of the for the ascitic fluid. Color Doppler sonography, then urine routine to, that is bile salt, bile pigment, to know the jaundice, then protein urea, urine sugar. So these are the associated investigations at the, when they are required at this particular stage, you can advise to the patient. So after seeing all these according to the modern, now when we start to find the reference of this portal hypertension to our Ayurvedic diseases, then one more most important thing, that is the Udara Vyadhi. So Udara Vyadhi means it is a disease that is included in Ashtamagada, the Udarotsedha Sadharma Udaram, then it is the Roga Sarvagno. So all these are know that. Then in Gadas, that Naya Chandrika commentary, they explain as Prameha Anantaram Udaram Arambaha. So after the diabetes or after the Prameha, this disease basically generated, and here in there is a typical similarity in between the Prameha and Isra, that is the Tridosh vitiation. So vitiation of Tridoshas is very important in these diseases. Then all of the students know that Udara Vyadhi, that is there are the 8 types. They are told Puthak Doshe Samastesa Liha Badda Shatodakaihi Sambhavanti Udarani Ashtu Teshamina Pratukshu. So when we see that, it is the basically the doshas type Vataj, Pataj, Kapajam, Sannik Pataj, and then they are explained the Plihodar, Badhodar, Chidrodar, and lastly they explain the Jalodar. So these are the 8 types. So while explaining these types, they use the word that is the Plihodar. So they not use the word any Yakrutodar or they are using Yakrutodar. So they are using the words Plihodar. But when we see the go through the text, and our topic is Yakrut Dalodar. So what is meant by Yakrut Dalodar? Yakrut Dalodar means Yakrut Daleti Doshevi Yadiki Yakrut Dalodaram, and it is given by the Madhonidan Madhukoshtika. That is, it is basically due to the Doshevi Yadati Yakrut Daleti, means these vitiated doshas mainly aggravate or they again vitiate or they hampered function, or there is any at Yakrut Dalodar, and it causes Yakrut Vrutti, that is the Yakrut Dalodar. Then Charak Sanhita, they give the reason that evam eva Yakrutapi Dakshina Parshvasa Kuryat Tulya Hetu Linga Aushadvat Tasya Pliha Jatara Evavarodha Eta Plihodaram Vidyat. Means all of you know that that is the Yakruta means that is the liver is on the Dakshina side, and that is the Pliha means on the warm side. So these are the Tulya Hetu Linga Aushadvat, means their etiological factors, their symptoms, and their treatment is same. So they are not considering the Yakrutodar as a separate. So they are considering Yakrutodar in the Plihodar only. And in Yakrutodar reference, in Nibandha Sangraha also, that is Daljanpur, it again explains Sabvedarasmin Dakshin Pashu Tadeva Plihodaram Yakrut Dalodram Niyam. Means that particular Plihodar, it should be called as a Yakrut Dalodar, and this is the reference given by the Daljan. Then, but in Madhav Nidan, when Madhav Nidan explained Another thing is Yakluddarasya Plihodharena Samana Chikitsaya means Tulya Hetutvat, Samana Lingam. Tena Abhinatavad, Ashtaveda Udaranina to Yakruddarodram Pruthak means again all of this they said that is the Plihodhara means the Yakrudodar and that is means the Yakruddarodar. But when you go to practice actually in then you will find the patients regarding to the different that some patients show the Yakrutodar, some patients show the Plihodar and some patients show the Yakrut Plihodar conditions. Here not only organomegaly is considered, it is the Udara Vadhi. So this Vruddhi means again here Yakruta Vruddhi, Pliha Vruddhi or Yakruta Pliha Vruddhi with some quantity of fluid, some quantity of ascitic fluid should be there must to label them as the Yakrutodar, Plihodar, and Yakrut Plihodar, or all these are coming under the Yakrut Dalyodar. This is the main thing. So here you should know that the Dosha Dusha Pradhanya, that is the Plihodrani Chatvari Dusha Pradhanyani. So the basic first types, that is the Vatodar, Pittodar, Kaphodar, Akira, these are the Dosha Pradhanya. But rest of the four types from the Plihodar to Chitrodar and all these are basically Dusha Pradhanya. So that doesn't say. Even Gaidas also said that the Plihodare dosha Kapapitta Dusha Rakta means there are the visheshan of the Kapapitta dosha and Dusha means that Rakta Dushti is the main cause. Then Kapapitta and Astruva Kapacha Eva. Astruva Kapacha Tulakanda Pitta Dushti is the Uchara means sometimes they are not mentioning the Pitta Dushti, so they are only mentioning so Rakta Kapha Dushti. So whenever you are considering the Rakta due to Ashya Ashiva, you should consider the Pitta also. Then, so the thinking of this Yakrudadada that I have already said is it term includes hepatomegaly in Udaravadi, Plihodar means splenomegaly in Udaravadi, and Yakrut Plihodar, that is hepatosplenomegaly in Udaravadi. So here these three conditions that you can find, and these conditions are can correlated with the clinical manifestation of the portal hypertension. For that, when you see Yakrudalodor or any Udara Vadi, so there are some Samanya Hetus of the Udara Vadi which are extent. That is the Aharaja Hetu, all of you know the Ahara Hetu, there is the Bahya Hetu, Ati Ushna Lavan, Shara Vidahi, Amla Barashanat, Mithan Samsaja, Ruksha Virdal, Ashuchi Bhojnat. These are explained in chapter 13. So when you go through these Ati Ushna Lavan, Shara Vidahi, all these things are basically the Rakta Pitta and Kapha, and these are basically responsible for the development of the Vaikunya at particular site at the Rakta Vasotomulasthan, which means Yakut and Pliha. So here these Aharaja factor are responsible for the generation of Vaikunya, and that Vaikunya may generate into the structural damage, and then it results in the functional damage of that particular strotus. Then another Samanya Hetu in that particular shlokas, Charaka explained that the Pliha Arsha Grahani Dosha Karshanata Karma Vibramata Vishtana Pratikara Dharanat. So here this shloka is very important because it clearly gives the idea that is the Pliha Arsha Grahani Dosha Karshanata. The basic karma vibhrama, that is they are given the vamanadi samnata karanat, means this vamanadi karma maybe there is a backup due to the vamanadi karma, and they call this the pressurize on this GI tract organs. But apart from this, we have to concentrate, we have to focus on the word that is the Pliha Arshagrahani Dosha Karshanat, because it is basically related, or we can correlate with this particular the portal hypertension. So Grahani means either you can see that as Agni Dushti, and this Grahani, that is, it can be correlated with when there is a Grahani Dushti, then according to Ayurveda. At the same time, Grahani's function, that is a Sarakitta Vibhajan, it gets hampered, and so we can get the disease of Grahani, and it resembles the malabsorptions, means Murbadam Mudrabam, it is a particular sign of the Grahani disease. So here we can correlate with the malabsorption and here you can say that the congestion of GI tract that will happen, or that we can say due to the portal hypertension. So here you can correlate with the Grahani with the malabsorption. Then pliha means any, not in the pliha, it is pliha ruddhi. Pliha ruddhi is seen. That is this pliha ruddhi that we are seeing in portal hypertension. It is seen in the prehepatic condition. Then it's seen in the hepatic or lastly post-hepatic condition also. So splenomegaly, that is due to the splenic vasodilatation, you can find the splenomegaly. So here Grahani, pliha, and lasting arsha. Here again arsha means according to Ayurveda it causes the malavarot, sanchit dosha, and this sanchit dosha causes the udara. But whenever we see that arsha means it is correlated to the piles, then there is a formation of a rectal varices, and this rectal varices means hemorrhages. So whenever there is Krishtana Pratikarat or Pratikarat, it means there is a negligence to the proper treatment of these diseases. Means if you have neglected the treatment of the Grahani, pliha, and arsha, then it leads to the Udara diseases. Basically here it leads to the Yakrut diseases. So these are the main important things. So here we can see that there is a Grahani, pliha, arsha. These are we seen in prehepatic portal hypertension. So these are the causes. So it can be correlated. Then the Samanya Hetu, what are they are given? That is a Rokshat. So what is meant by Rokshat? In Chakrapani Tikka, they explain the Rokshat Utpatti means Rokshasya Pratikariya Bhavenan Vartanat. Means it is due to the Roksha Kriya. Means Roksha means it is to the uneven surface. Means there is a smooth surface of any organ or any, that is, it gets disturbed. And this Roksha Pratikriya means again it is due to the inflammatory conditions. So Roksha Bhav is increased due to the inflammatory condition, that is scarring of tissues. So here morphological factors, according to model, we can see that scarring of tissue causes liver cirrhosis, and which is a major portal hypertension. Then another cause that in our Ayurveda is very important, that is the Amat. So Am causes it is the Srotorodha and basically Abhimanda, then Am, then Srotorodha, and then Shishan Dosha. This is the common pathway of the disease formation what is told in Ayurveda. But here this Am enmity, mainly Srotorodha, there is obstruction in the portal venous system. It can be correlated, and due to the formation of Sila Granthi Srotorodha, that is the at the portal vein or hepatic vein. Then if we consider a intrahepatic arm formation, that or there may be any metabolic hampered the function of the Yakrut pliha due to the Agni Kshay, because according to Ayurveda, Agni is very important for any physiological process or any digestive process is also important. So due to the arm, there is Agni Kshay also. Due to Agni Kshay, there is arm also. So these are the vice versa. So it can hamper the function of Yakrut and pliha. So all these Amat, Rokshat, so all these factors basically here we can correlate, that is the increased resistance to the portal flow, blood flow, and it happens in the liver. So these are the causes that can correlate with this portal hypertension causes. Then the Samanya Agantuja Hetus are explained by the Sushruta Sthan, and in it, and there they are given Sudrubalo Agniya Ahitashanasa Samsuksa Putya Anna Nishevanatva Snehadi Mithachana Jantoho Ruddhigataha. So they specifically mention that Jantoho Ruddhigataha Pushtam Abhiprapannaha. So this is Jantoho Ruddhi. So how is Janto Ruddhi? Janto Ruddhi means they are given the Praninaha. So again, that we can correlate, that is the Praninaha means it is any pathogen, any bacterial, any viral infection. So Jantoho Ruddhi. And this Janto Ruddhi, you can see here that in figure, that is due to the liver hypertension when portal systemic collateral. Any problem, sir? Any problem?
No, ma'am. Yes, you can continue.
Okay, it's a 12.
Participant, please. Hello, ma'am. Participant, please mute your audio. Okay. Ma'am, you can continue.
Okay. So these, when we see that there is a post-associative collaterals, it causes that is a vasodilator activity or nitric oxide is increased. एक minute. Am I audible to you, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am, you are audible.
Okay. So this nitric oxide activity basically it increases the translocation of the bacteria, and it is a proven theory according to the modern. So here you can correlate with jantoho vrittigatah koshtam abhiprapannaha. So it also correlated. Another thing is that when you are bypassing the liver, whenever is a collateral developed, whenever there is a the bypassing the liver, so that portal vein blood is also not get detoxified. So again, it causes the jantorudhi. Then, but these are the samanya hetus of the udara which we are correlated with the Yकृत with portal hypertension. But whenever we go, that is a vishesh hetu of the Yकृत Dalyodhar, means here we I have mentioned that is the Plihodar. These are explained in Charab Chikitsa Ashitasya Ati Samshobhat Yanayat Adhicheshna Ati Bharadvaya means these are Vyadhikarshan. So here only the word as a Vyadhikarshan. Anti-Vyadhikarshan may be due to the Pandu, due to the Arshapliha. All these are mentioned in above slides. So but rest of the causes, that is the Ati Samshobhat, Ati Yanayat means basically if a patient or a person is after eating, he is traveling, then if it is excessively induced with any excessive work, exercise, intercourse, all these cases mainly causes the displacement of that particular organ, but particularly pliha, and then it causes the organomegaly. So these are the specific hetus. But when we see consider portal hypertension related to splenomegaly, there is no any displacement, but only we can find splenomegaly. But here we can't find these causes. Then Samanya Samprakti that of the Udara is also important, that I have correlated it, that is all of you know that Roga api sarve mandavno suturam durani tu ajinat malinacha annai dayante mesanchat is given the basic Samprakti of the Udara Soto, that is there is a Ritva Sveda Ambuvahini Sanchitaha Pranagna Sandusha Janeti Udaram Nuram. So here there is a Sveda, it is a Swabhav they are given, that is the Vitamin Swabhav, that is a Sveda Ambuva Sotas Avarod, and it also causes the Prana Agni upon initiations. So here can be considered Prana Agni ki Prano ko Vayu ko Agnisha upon Vayu. They are given in commentated, but can we consider that the Prana Sthan means it is a Rudhaya Sthan. So it can be correlated with the post-hepatic sites of portal vein. Agni Sthan means it is the Purahani, that is, it is the main metabolism site. So it is mainly hepatosplenic portal hepatic site of the portal vein, and Apana means Pakvasha means the hepatic site of portal vein. So it can be correlated according to, so Prana Agni Apana Dishti is also related because these sites are mainly hampered and it get manifested as Udaram. Then basic Samprakti is given in our that is the Vama Pashva Shita Pliha Chuta Sanat Pravartate Shomitam va Rasadhi Vibhutam Tam Vibhardete. So here there is two types of the Pliha Ruti, means it is according to the Samshobhat Achutasya, means there is a displacement and Achutasya without displacement, and this without displacement that we have Ruti, it is of again two types. Again, it's of two causes. Basically, Shomitam va Rasadhirutam means it is due to the Raktaruddhi. Basically, Raktaruddhi means a Dushta Raktaruddhi, and due to the Dushta Rasa Ruddhi. So these are the causes. And Shomitam va Rasadhi Atri Atradi Shabdavaha Prakaravachi Tena Rasasya Karansa Ruddha means due to the rasa shown the Ruddhi, that is we are know that rasa rakta mamsa there is a sequence production of these dhatus. So whenever there is a production of one dhatu, then ultimately the second dhatu is also increased. And again, in the Bangsadhi Rakta Vruddhi Bhavati, Tena Ahara Viharadam. Second thing is due to the particular Satandra Dushti, Satandra Vruddhi of the Rakta due to the Ahara Viharadam. So here we can correlate this Shonitam Varasadhi Vruddham with the increased portal blood flow. So how it is and already I had told you that the Rakta Vruddhi is in vasodilation due to backflow in the portal vein and also from the systemic vasodilation to the anastomosis. So these words we can correlate that is Shonitamba Rasadhibhyo Vivruddham. Then Samprapti of Yakrut Dalodar, again this is explained in Ashtangrudhaya and they have mentioned that though it is Plihodar is given, Tadvat Api Yakrutapi Dakshinat Parshvichutam Sadvat Vartate. Means according to the Pliha, they are also it is the two types that the Chuta Yakruta Vruddhi or Achuta Yakruta Vruddhi, and again it is Athva Shonitam Swahetuto. Means here Shonitam Swahetuto Vivruddham Yakrutam Varteta means again it resembles to the hepatomegaly in the hepatic and post-hepatic portal hypertension. And I have already showed the correlation how the samanyas hetus of the udara, that is Rokshat, Amad, all this causes the liver dysfunction or what we say vagus at the Yakut side. Then specifically again Sushritacharya again mentioned that Plihavi Vidahi Abhishandir Tasya Jantoh Pradushtam Atyartham Astu Tapasya Plihavi Vruddhim Satadam Karoti Plihodram Pravanitanya. Means they are explained in short sweet manner. So short sweet manner means Vidahi Abhishandir, that is the Rakta Pitta Kapakara, and then it causes the Plihavi. So here you can in the they are mentioned specific that Abhishandi means Dosh Dhatu Malasrotasa. So, play the Praktajanakam means here that it can be correlated means that is there is play the production means there is Apachita Dhatu Ruddhi is there. And this Apachita Dhatu Ruddhi is basically at maybe it causes what we can say Dhatu Samatha also and liquidity of that particular Dhatu also. And this now there are new theory that is the Rakta Samata is increased due to the Kaleda and the altered equilibrium of the body blood leading to the formation and release of various cytokinins. So various cytokinins are responsible for the unequilibrium condition of the blood and that can be correlated with the Kaleda conditions which lead to the Rakta Samata. So this can be correlated. Cytokinin increase in inflammatory process responsible for the portal hypertension. This is the basic of this correlation theory. Then here you can see that the time waste I am showing you just because after that there are symptoms related to the Yakrut Dalodar, that is the Darbalya Aruchak Vipakar. These are the associated symptoms, Kasa, Shwasa, Murdujvara, Agninashakasha, Vairasa, then Parva Bheda, Koshtamata Shudani, Udara, Aruna Vivarnam, Nila Harita Haritaraji Bhavanti. So these are the Nila Harita Haritaraji Bhavanti. It is sign and symptoms of the Plihodar that we have seen in correlated with, that is the caput medicine. So again, it can give evidences. Then again, Sushruti Nidasan and Madhu Nidan have the practical approach and they are given that due to the Pliha Vruddhi, basically you can get Mandajvaragni and Kapapittalingnayi Upadutta Kshina Balo Ati Pandu. So all of you know that due to the splenomegaly, due to the hypersplenism, it causes a Mandajvar, it causes the anemic condition, thrombocytopenia and all these things. And Kshina Balam is due to exhausted conditions. So all these are correlated. So, according to the Pliha dosh as given, and I think these Pliha dosh are basically due to the dislocation of the Pliha, and they are named the Pancha Pliha doshas there. The Pramya Chutasya Ruddhi Ukta Sa Vatadi Sanipatina Chaturvidha Nila iti panchapliha doshaha. So these are the due to the dislocations. Then doshas type of the Yakut Dalodar, these are given in Ashtangude also. Udavata Ruja Anahi, Mohatru Jara Kramahi, Gaura Aruchi Katrina, Tatra Malan Kramat. Means these again, it is of 3 times Vata Chikapa, it is explained in Ashtangrude, those are the type of the Yakut Dalodar. Madhav Nidan explained the 4 types. So they again explain the Raktaja types also. And Yoga Ratnakar explain the Raktaja types. So there are the basic association that means Vataja, that is there painting in conditions, Kapha conditions, means Sthira, Guru, all these conditions. Pitta means there is a Vidaha condition. So all these conditions you can find or correlate systematically. Then second thing, that is the Pliha Vruddhi Swarup, means how the Pliha, that formation is given. That is, it is very interesting. I will mention that Tasya Pliha Kathino Ashtilavat Eva Vardhamana Kachapa Samsthana Upalabdhate. Means first it is form, it is a gross hard stone like Ashtilavat. Then it become a Kachapa Samsthana, means the back of the tortoise, and then it that it occupy the whole region of the abdomen. So these are these morphological words or these morphological evidence we can correlate with any hepatomegaly site, that is a tortoise nodular formations related. So this point also correlated. Again, they have given that Ashtila Dirtha, means this Ashta, this sphenomegaly, it is Dirtha, means massive sphenomegaly is there. In that massive sphenomegaly, there is a Lohamaya. So Lohamaya Granthi Lohakareshu Prasiddha. So here, when there is a massive sphenomegaly, there is a thrombocytopenia, and even there is RBC destruction is there, and then that causes the iron deposition in basically that hemochromatosis condition, that we can say, though it is a genetically according to modern, but here due to the any disease that we can say Nidanatika Rog, so it can be formed and it can be correlated to Ashtila Dirko Lohamaya Granthi Lohakareshu Siddhaha. Then all of you know that what I show that in Koshtavat Upasnehanasaro Nisrutya Dushto Anle Megana Pracha Samunanya Chanahi Samanta Vardhamanam Jatram Kodis Samanya Udar Samprapti, also that is they explain the Koshtavat Upasnehan, and this Koshtavat Upasnehan can be correlated with the underflow therapy, that is lymphatic lymphatic system or lymph increase, and this lymph increase leakage of lymph, and then it forms the ascites. It is correlated to Koshtavat Upasnehan. Then another thing interesting that I have noticed, that is a Jaloda Samprapti. In Ayurveda they have given Jaloda Samprapti separate. Sneha Pitasya Mamanam, then Shinasya Atikusha Seva. Means though all udaras are converted last stage in the Jalodhar, but they are given Jalodhar Samprapti in a another manner. And here Ati Ambupanat Nashta Agnehi Marutaha Flomi Samstitaha. So that initiated Maruta Flomi Samstita, if due to the Ati Ambupanat, it is responsible. And in Chakrapaitika, here you can find that is the Floma, it is a Sanhita, means it is a there are various theories related to Floma. Sometimes it related some Acharya consider it as a pancreas, some consider as a Udakava Srotas Mulasthan. But here in Chakrapaitika, they specifically mention that Floma means Hridaya Avayava Visheshaha. And this Hridaya Avayava Visheshaha means it against Yathokta Kapha Marutaha, Tayocha Ambu Ardhakatva, Pipasa Janamamu Pana Udari Nidan. So this Hridaya Avayava Vishesha is significantly marked as the increased cardiac output, and it causing the hypovolemia, and then the associated symptoms are happened. So due to the hypovolemia, the obviously patient show the symptoms like Vipasa, Atitrushna. So all these symptoms, or maybe there is Mutrakshay, so all these symptoms will happen. And here only the Chakrapani that explain the Floma as a Hridaya Avayava Vishesha. So here in Jaloda Samprapti, you have to consider Floma as a Hridaya Avayava, and it is important in the Samprapti. Then as already Atankadar Darpan Tika already told that though whenever there is a Ajatodak Avastha, but there is still some small quantity of ascitic fluid is present. Atra tu pragayam jala bhavati tinshisham. But it is in small quantity, and why it is in small quantity? They are given na ati mandatvat agnehe anna rasasya alpatvat. It is in small quantity. And after that, they explain that all of you know that upekshitaha sarva udarana, then antata salila bhavan jayanti means it is the anantaram udakam pradurbhava means jatodaka avastha that you can find. And this rupani kuksheha atimataruti siddhanta gamanam udaka purnadruti spurja. So these are correlated with ascites conditions. So here the purva rupa of the udara, samanya rupa. So these are the related to the ascites. So I'm not getting in deep in that. So here I want to explain that the upashaya and anupashaya, that is basically because all these ascites is related, and all of you know that लिंगैः पीहान अधिक्यं दृष्ट्वा रक्तचापं स्वलक्षणं समीक्षकारेण बाहो वामे वा वेदयेत् श्रीराम. So here in upashaya anupashaya, basically here the rakta pitta kapha dushti in Yakudalyoga. So rakta dushti is main. So here they advise a rakta mokshan. So upashaya, that is the laghu ahar, dukta ahar, and rakta mokshan and reaction chikitsa is there. And anupashaya, that is due to the purva ahar, vidahni, abhishanti ahar, madhyapan sevan, and malavaro. These are the anupashaya. Then sadhya sadhyatva, vata pitta kapha piha samipachodara is this pina means Yakudalyogar can be cured and we can consider it as a yapyavadhi. So considering all these facts, we can say that Yakudalyogar, it is a broad syndrome and it shows the stages such as Yakudodar, Prihodar, and Yakut-Prihodar. And these stages can be correlated to portal hypertension from its beginning to its complicated stages. I just show you a chart. So first I will show you the portal hypertension according to the pathophysiology. Here the in general portal hypertension in first stage, the portal hypertension it is due to the alcoholic or non-alcoholic fatty liver. Here you can get hepatomegaly and it can be correlated with the Yakutodar or Yatodak avastha. Then in second thing, it is a liver cirrhosis, portal hypertension, splenomegaly. So it can be correlated to the Prihodar. Ascites condition that we can say that Prihodar with Jatodak avastha. In third stage, due to the excessive liver failure, due to the CBD obstruction, to common bile duct obstruction, there is a jaundice, and with along with jaundice there is a hepatosplenomegaly. And because already spleen is already there is a megaly of spleen, and then again it is a hepatosplenomegaly. So it considered as Yakut-Prihodar. Again, when the conditions are complicated or worsened in last stage, massive jaundice, hepatic encephalopathy, or these complications occur, and these are correlated with Yakut-Prihodar Jatodak avastha. So it is a broad syndrome of syndrome that cover all the aspects of the portal hypertension from its causative disease to its complicated diseases. Then one more thing I want to, that is the anatomical correlation. Just what we are seeing first, that is the according to the portal vein in prehepatic condition. In portal hypertension, you can get the splenomegaly, varicose bleeding, and pallor. This can be correlated with the Prihodar conditions. In hepatic, the jaundice, hepatomegaly, and ascites, it is correlated with Yakutodar. And in post-hepatic conditions, post-hepatic causes, massive hepatosplenomegaly, massive ascites, and its complications, that is, it is a correlated with Yakut-Prihodar. So in this way, we can correlate with Yakut-Dalyogar with portal hypertension, and the basic treatment of the portal hypertension is to modify or to change the lifestyle or to protect the liver function and from a dietary cause. So thank you, ma'am, for giving me time. It's 12:30, too long discussion, but I want to cover all these points.
Okay, thank you, madam. Thank you, madam. Thanks for the pearls of the wisdom. Okay, it's very descriptive and very knowledgeable means informative session. Okay, now, hello, hello, hello. Huh. Now, respected chairperson, Dr. Hemant Kalita sir will share his concluding remarks on the today's session. Before that, I would request Dr. Savita Balkar madam to give brief introduction of this sir. Over to you, madam.
Thank you, Ariman. I would like to take the privilege of introducing Dr. Hemant Kalita sir, an eminent personality currently designated as Assistant Professor, Department of Rog Nidan and Vikruti Vignan, Government Ayurved College, Guwahati, Assam. Briefly saying, sir has done post-graduation from Pune University and PhD from Guwahati University. Sir has teaching experience of 11 years. Sir has done more than 30 publications in international and national journals. Sir has special interest in laboratory medicine and clinical medicine. Sir is a pioneer in pathology in the field of Ayurveda in the state of Assam and one of the renowned personality in histopathology. Thank you, sir, for being a part of this session. One suggestion, please, for the participants. The link of the feedback form is provided in the chat box. Please fill the feedback form to get your e-certificate. And now, sir, I request you to give your valuable inputs on this session. Dr. Hemant Kalita, sir. Over
Thank
to
you. Am I audible?
Yes.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You are audible.
Okay. So at the very onset, I want to thank to the whole organizer who had given us this opportunity to hold a chair in such a beautiful seminar. Actually, this was one of the best seminar whatever I have attended. And before that, I would like to thank Dr. Rushita Dahilekar madam for such a good and wonderful presentation. And her presentation was very useful for everybody. And the topic, whatever she had delivered to us regarding the concept of the portal hypertension, and she had nicely remarked about the modern, and also she had nicely correlate it in Ayurveda. So the transcription and the compilation of this portal hypertension in Ayurveda, whatever she had given in her presentation is very wonderful. So what she have actually mentioned, just the highlight I have just want to, I don't want to say anything beyond that because nothing had left. She had already nicely explained all that part what was necessary. Now, regarding the types of the portal hypertension, what we know that this portal hypertension is one of the major cause for ascites, and not only ascites, it may be one of the cause for other some symptoms also. But if you see about the types of the portal hypertension, there is a pre-hepatic, hepatic, and the post-hepatic is a very important for any kind of a diagnosis. Now, in consideration with the Ayurveda, what these types of portal hypertension, is it described or it is mentioned in Ayurveda or not? Now, when you come with the thing that these types of things are directly not mentioned, these types of words we may not see in our text, but it is mentioned. So the compilation and the transcription was necessary, what she, madam had did, and what we have found that that means in case of portal hypertension, the context of the Udara Vyadhi we can study. So in the context of the Udara Vyadhi, it is rightly said that Pliha is one of the cause, that means Pliha Vriddhi is one of the cause of the Udara Vyadhi. So this Pliha Vriddhi, all of you know, this is one of the type that we can find during the portal hypertension. Means due to portal hypertension, we get splenomegaly, and this is actually very important. Cars have already they know that this is the cause, but the language whatever they have what they have given was in the language of the Sanskrit. Now this is the time that how we understand in our modern days. And regarding whatever the correlation, that means in case of Udara Vyadhi, we find that Prana, then Apana and Agni. These are the three basic entities, which is where the Sampraptis actually occur actually. it is a prana, which is actually what Madam had said. Definitely, we will consider as a post-hepatic condition, because post-hepatic conditions, which is actually one of the major cause. Sometimes we are not actually we sometimes more concentrate on the hepatic cause, that regarding the cirrhosis of the liver and on. But beyond that, also there are some other causes. That means the post-hepatic condition. That means the cardiac causes. Mainly the whenever there is any pathology in the cardiac region, that also may causes this type of portal hypertension. So definitely it is a pran. I strongly suggest that these types of transcription and these types of thing have to be done. And whenever we want to go to the treatment of this type of thing, that means this interpretation is necessary. Then coming to that, the grahani is rightly, she said that this is the we can consider it as the hepatic cause. And the post-hepatic cause, we have considered that that is the pakwasai. Means the pakwasai can be called as a post-hepatic condition. And the treatment modulation in the treatment of the Grahani Roga, I think these types of treatment modulations are adopted, and new methods of the treatment modulation can also be adopted regarding this thing. And one thing what I can consider from my side is that one of the basic important cause of these SITs and all is the SIT, is the cirrhosis of liver. And in the cirrhosis of liver, what we find, there is a concept of, that means there is a fibrosis that occur in the liver, and this is a fibrosis that occur in the liver. And this fibrosis is actually what happened. This is actually anatomical changes that we can find in the liver cell. And these anatomical changes that we can find in the liver cells is actually that there is a scarring. That is scarring of the hepatocytes. There is a scarring of the, and the sinusoids are blocked actually. And these are actually, if you consider in Ayurvedic terminology, these are all the Sroti, and these are actually the Vata Vriddhi Lakshanas. So Vata Vriddhi Lakshanas actually is one of the very important thing whenever we are dealing with cirrhosis. No doubt we, in modern days, we consider that cirrhosis is one of the diseases which is said to be, cannot be treated, or is said to be end stage of a hepatic disease. But in Ayurveda, some prospects have to be found that these types of things can be studied under the context of Vata Vyadhi, along with the context of the Udara Vyadhi. Means Mandagni treatment is as necessary, and as well as if the treatment of Vata Vyadhi is being considered, I think we can get successful result even in the treatment of the cirrhosis. No doubt many of us, we are in our practice, we are getting so many ascites cases, and among the ascites, the cirrhosis of liver is one of the major important cause. And there, sometimes we are success and sometimes we are not success. Why we are not success? Because we are dealing with the concept of the modern theory. That means that there is a hypoalbuminuria. So albumin is not there. So that means the liver is not able to secrete the albumin. So ultimately, a time will come that there will be profuse, that means ascites, and leading to the severity of the condition. But if we can treat the cirrhosis, that means if the cirrhosis can be treated with, if these types of treatment like Vata Vyadhi, it can be treated. So I think we can get some results in future. So it was a very excellent presentation by Rushita Madam. And let me see in the chat box if anybody had given. Actually, many of them had given some messages, but no questionnaires are there from any participants. So if there is any questionnaires or any kind of discussion should have to be done with Madam, then they can share their views. Thank you.
Hello. If any participant have any question, they can ask now. I think so. The session is so descriptive that nobody have any question. So we will move on for further. Now I request Dr. Santosh Chavan sir, HOD and Professor of Department of Rog Nidhan and Vikruti Vignan, to deliver the vote of thanks. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much. Today, myself, Dr. Santosh Chavan, Professor HOD, Department of Rognidan and Vikrudyan at D.Y. Patel University School of Ayurveda. Today, I take an opportunity to give a vote of thanks because it's our culture to give a vote of thanks to those who help us in our progress. Which is a very encouraging to get understand the any disease of Ayurveda in integrative approach. Really, just I want to say that just two words. Dailekar couple, Dr. Rushita Madam and Dr. Sandeep Dailekar are is a one couple in the field of Ayurveda, especially in the subject of Rognida and Vikrudyan, who are doing very well in the academic and in the laboratory medicine also. So very much thank you, ma'am, for your knowledgeable thoughts on today's one very complex disease or clinical entity. Thank you so much, ma'am. Then today we have one important personality who has chaired today's session, Dr. Hemen Kalita sir. Really, sir, very thank for sparing some times for today's session. Just one I want to say that about Hemen sir, that Hemen sir is really a one important person in the state of Maharashtra from the field of Ayurveda, who has introduced the concept of practicing pathology as well as histopathology in the state of Assam. Thank you, sir. Then most important, I would like to give or to extend my vote of thanks to our management, Dr. Vijay Patil sir and Dr. Shivani madam, who has provided us a wonderful infrastructure for the academic activities. Thanks to the my management. Then I would like to give a vote of thanks to my one beloved dynamic personality, that is Dean sir, Dr. Harit Kumar, Dr. Mahesh Kumar Harit sir, who encourage us to lead to conduct some knowledgeable academic activities for the benefit of the students and for the benefit of the Ayurveda. And the last but not least, our audience. So I would like to give a vote of thanks to all my respected teachers, my dear students and practitioners. And the last again, the last and the not the least, that is our non-teaching staff who have helped us to conduct this today's session and IT team. And last, I would like to thank to my colleagues in my department. Thank you to each and everyone for this today's session. So as an organizer, I would declare that today's session is over. Thank you once again to each and everyone. Bye bye. See you. Thank you, Rushita ma'am. Thank you, Hemen sir.
Thank you, Dr. Sandeep sir.
Yeah. Okay. Bye bye. See you, sir. बंद करें? रुशिता मॅडम, तुमचा आवाज येत नाही. तुमचा आवाज येत नाही. हा?
Ma'am, please unmute your audio.
Yeah.
Ma'am, Rishita ma'am.
Yes, Rushita madam.
So, yes.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am. Rushita ma'am.
So I would express my thanks to Santosh sir basically for inviting me here and giving me this wonderful opportunity. Okay, maybe there's the internet. Thank you, sir.
Today, just I want to express my vote of thanks. One dynamic personality from the subject of Rog Nidhan, Dr. Subhas Wage sir, who has participated in this session today. Thank you, sir. Yes, sir. Amen, sir. Ruchita ma'am, can I close? Can I close the session?
Yes, Santosh sir. Very
Amen,
nice.
sir. Very good. Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah. I just want to say something else.
Yeah,
Many thanks to the organizer and especially to Santosh sir. That means for giving me this opportunity to have in this seminar. So it was a
Yes, sir.
nice
Yeah,
experience to all of you. And that means we are knowing each other. But the thing is that to know in these types of means to be recognized in these types of platforms are very important. Thank you very much.
yeah.
And Rushita madam, after so long times I have seen you. I
Yes.
think you are okay. You are healthy, and I think Dr. Sandeep sir is also nice. So nice to see you, all of you. Thank you to all of you again.
Yeah, definitely, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, sir. Bye bye.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay
yeah.
then.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye bye, sir. See you.